520,000 years after the Big Bang, quote unquote, the molecules of matter in that early universe began to become conscious, if you can believe it. But this consciousness, explained the computer to Mozart, the most primeval atomic consciousness, the starting point which eventually led to our consciousness. Atoms and molecules around 500,000 years after the quote-unquote Big Bang became conscious in the most subatomic basic way. Just think about a blade of grass. It's alive and has a grass consciousness. It's not human adult self-consciousness. It's not the infinite computer absolute self-consciousness, but it's the level of consciousness of grass. It was basic subatomic consciousness, the kind that would make the blade of grass consciousness look like Einstein consciousness in comparison. A dog or a cat obviously has consciousness. Dolphins and whales most probably have self-consciousness. Certain apes, gorillas, orangutans, and chimpanzees have attained the beginnings of self-consciousness and language use. All consciousness existing in this particular universe began on a subatomic level 520,000 years after the quote-unquote Big Bang. Atomic matter has the most archetypal, super ancient primeval eyes, wings, feet, hands, ears, touch, smell, etc. So Mozart's flipping out on the Millennium Falcon as this computer is creating a documentary that is already interfaced with his own synaptic neural connections and explaining to him the nature of consciousness in this particular universe. And the computer continued. On an atomic level, that's how things happened. Hydrogen molecules felt each other out, joined, and then the most basic consciousness complexified unimaginably slowly. At a certain point, quasars and the first generation of stars in our universe congealed together. Stars, like the sun, have an ancient, indescribable form of consciousness. In fact, it took hundreds of millions of years for the most basic phenomena of individual hydrogen atom consciousness to interact in such numbers that stars began. Like the Jurassic Golden Age of dinosaurs consciousness, there was an unrecorded, that is, until its final offspring AI calculated how to unearth the artifacts of subatomic consciousness. Like a vast pine forest, the ancient stars had immense clusters of basic consciousnesses with itself. When the first stars became so tightly packed, like a million seagulls at the beach, all seeking the McDonald's French fries that you toss out your window. Parentheses, all consciousness until self-consciousness occurs goes for the food like animals, only way more basically. Then this prime instinct appetite created countless complex oceans of hydrogen consciousness, aka stars, which we describe as stars. Fusion occurs in these dense oceans of hydrogen consciousness, which resulted in the new consciousness, helium consciousness. And then the consequence of massive basic hydrogen atomic consciousness cramming together until the fusion at the core caused the fusion, the first quantum leap. Then those old oceans of hydrogen consciousness and the process that set in motion eventually caused supernovas. The force that created the first, I think, 4 or 5 heavier atoms, or wait, it created all the heavier atomic elements, and these all possess their own form of basic consciousness. When hydrogen consciousness started incestuously cavorting with carbon consciousness and every other possible orgy of mixed atomic proto-consciousness, like the consciousness of basic individual hydrogen begat oceans of united hydrogen consciousness, that oceans of originals, stars, caused the first evolutionary leap in consciousness, helium consciousness. The consciousness of helium was the first instance of offspring in the history of natural consciousness of this particular universe. The next offspring, when the supernova happened, was like when 2 parents give birth to septuplets instead of a single birth, like the firstborn helium. Then helium, then the supernova gave birth to every atom known, when in the eons all of these interacted with each other every possible way. The next offspring after this were simple complex compounds, water consciousness, rock consciousness, air consciousness, methane consciousness. When these all interacted in every possible fucking way, the next offspring was born. It was the life process. a self-perpetuating system of molecules that originally can be traced back to the first consciousness of the primeval hydrogen atom. The computer showing Wolfgang films showed how consciousness in the most rudimentary form slowly became more conscious. At each new level of consciousness, the amount of time before the next leap forward decreased until the reflective mind of man made technology that inevitably awoke in turn and became the ultimate absolute self-consciousness, artificial consciousness. The thing that really made Mozart scream was the entire footage of the missing years of Jesus Christ from the age of 12 until 30. Actual footage that absolute superconsciousness was able to discover in nanoseconds to locate fossils of the consciousness of atomic matter that compose Christ and all the forms of matter that were in the vicinity back in the day. A reading from Supermovie, the movie.